Welcome to another night at Crypto Cove, and it's great to have you all with me tonight. You all ready for some education and entertainment in the crypto space?
Absolutely.
All right, and just a reminder to everyone that tonight's meeting is, in fact, paid trading per a sanctioning the meeting. So if you haven't put your wallet address in by now would be the time to. All right, let me make sure I have this ready. Okay. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. And just as a reminder to everyone that this will be the last official pool playing meeting until next week because Thursday is Thanksgiving in the United States, which is partially where pool funding is quote unquote based. So we're not going to have a meeting that day. So again, this will be the last meeting of the week. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so like I said before, everyone, welcome to Crypto Cove. I'm very excited to have you all here with me tonight as we dive into the world of cryptocurrency together. Now, before we get started, let me introduce myself for probably the one or two people here on this call right now who haven't heard of me. My name is Hunter Rodriguez, and I am a 27-year-old crypto enthusiast currently living in Panama. I've been involved in crypto for 14 years now, and let's just say it has been quite a journey. Lots of learning, lots of excitement, and plenty of trial and error. But don't worry, you won't need years of experience to follow along with me today. We're keeping it simple and beginner friendly. If this is your first time hearing about crypto, that's perfect. You're in the right place. So grab your snacks, grab your wine, grab your beer, grab whatever you want, relax, and let's jump right into this fascinating world together. All right, so here's what we'll be covering today. We'll be covering what cryptocurrency is, the basics to get us all on the same page. We'll be going through a quick introduction to blockchain technology and no pocket protector required. I'm keeping it simple and easy to understand. We'll going over how Bitcoin works because Bitcoin is the very foundation of the space. Going to go through the benefits and risks of Bitcoin so you can see both sides of the coin. And finally, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session where you can ask me anything, whether it's about the slides or anything else crypto related that's on your mind. And I'll ask you to please hold any questions you have until then, because something you might have in mind might very well be answered by one of my slides. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on. Now, what is cryptocurrency? That's the $1 million question now, isn't it? What is cryptocurrency? Simply put, it's a digital currency that exists only online. Unlike traditional money, which we call fiat currency, crypto operates on a decentralized system, meaning there's no central bank or government controlling it. Think of it as separation of money and state. It's a revolutionary idea, really, putting financial power back into the hands of the people. Now, why is this important, you may be asking? Well, cryptocurrency cannot be counterfeited, and transactions are highly secure thanks to advanced cryptography. Plus, it's transparent. Anyone can view the ledger of transactions if they want to. Imagine a world where financial transactions are open and accessible, yet private at the very same time. Sounds like a major game changer, wouldn't you all say?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, and any one of you that's been to BSC Scan or any other Block Explorer, you participated in this and you might not have even known it at the time. How does that feel?
Good.
Well, audience participation here. Alrighty, I kid, of course. We'll go ahead and move on. Now, there are hundreds upon thousands of different cryptocurrencies out there, but let's excuse me, let's take a quick look at some of the most popular ones. Now, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the one that needs no introduction. Bitcoin is the very first cryptocurrency, and indeed, it's the one we'll focus on today. And it's often referred by quite a few people in the space as digital gold. And I'd say it certainly fits that marker. Litecoin, often called the silver to Bitcoin's gold, it's designed to be faster and lower cost than Bitcoin for transactions. Like, for example, with the average Bitcoin transaction, you can see that sometimes transaction fees can get up to $1, $2, or even higher during peak times. Whereas with Litecoin, it's just a matter of a few cents most of the time. Ethereum, known for its smart contracts, which we'll touch on just a little bit later. Think of as Ethereum is programmable money. And in fact, Ethereum is one of the things that form the major building blocks for us here in pool funding, as well as the Web3 space as a whole, because Binance Smart Chain, Polygon Proof of Stake chain, and several other different blockchains are all built off of Ethereum's architecture and what they essentially started on and pioneered. Dogecoin. Now, chances are that you've heard about this one before. It was the very first meme coin, and it had nothing to do with certain government agencies whatsoever. And that is a hill that I will die on. We're not even going to discuss that at all. So anyway, and there are many, many more different cryptocurrencies out there. Many of them each have their own unique features and use cases. Some are meant for payments, some are more meant for applications, and others are meant for entirely new financial systems. So there's a lot to choose from, and there's definitely a lot to go around. What do you all say?
Yeah, there's a lot to go
Yes.
around.
Yep.
All right, now let's take a quick stroll down memory lane with a brief history of crypto. Now, in 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto introduced the concept of Bitcoin. To this day, no one knows who Satoshi Nakamoto really is. It could be a person, a group, or even an AI. It's part of the mystery that makes Bitcoin so fascinating. In 2009, Bitcoin officially went live with its very first block, known as the Genesis block. This is where it all began. In 2010, the first Bitcoin transaction for physical goods happened. Someone bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Yes, you heard that right. Someone bought pizza with Bitcoin. And today, those 2 pies would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I hope those were some really good pies. Well, don't you all think so?
Yes.
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 And someone's
Expensive.
lying on my screen here. Folks, please refrain from lying on the screen. Where was I? All right, and in 2015, Ethereum launched, bringing the era of decentralized finance and a whole new way to use blockchain technology. Since then, cryptocurrency has been evolving at lightning speed. New projects, technologies, and use cases emerge almost daily. All right, so before we move forward anymore, let's pause for a moment and talk a bit more about Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, the question is, who or what is Satoshi Nakamoto? And as I mentioned before, the truth is, we really don't know. Satoshi is the pseudonym used by the person or group who created Bitcoin. It could be a single genius coder, a team of developers, a company, or even an artificial intelligence. Over the years, many people in the crypto space have speculated about Satoshi's identity, but no one has really been able to confirm with a concrete evidence who Satoshi really is. This anonymity adds to the mystique of Bitcoin and its origins. What we do know is that Satoshi introduced Bitcoin to the world in 2008 and then just stepped away from the project a few years later. The mystery of Satoshi remains one of the most fascinating aspects of Bitcoin's story. But I'm going to ask each and every one of you present here today, and I don't want an answer right now. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Think about it, and I'll ask again at the end of the presentation. What is a blockchain? Now that we know what cryptocurrency is, let's talk about the technology that makes it all possible, the blockchain. A blockchain is essentially a digital ledger that records transactions across a network of computers. It's called a chain because it's made up of blocks of data linked together in chronological order. Think of it like a book where every page is locked in place once it's written, and everyone has a copy of the book. Key features of a blockchain include decentralization because no single entity controls it. This makes it much fairer and less prone to corruption. Immutability. Once data is recorded, it cannot be changed, which makes it a huge plus for trust. When you all say?
Yes, yes.
Transparency. Everyone can see what's happening. Think of this as financial accountability. And that explains why there's such a big push for some governments to start using cryptocurrency. And security. Thanks to cryptography, it is incredibly secure, making it very difficult for hackers to alter any data involved in blockchains or cryptocurrency itself. All right, so what exactly is Bitcoin? Well, of course, we've learned that it's a cryptocurrency and the very first cryptocurrency, and arguably it's the most important one. Bitcoin is both a digital asset and a payment system. What makes it special is that it's decentralized. No single authority, like a bank or a government, controls it. Bitcoin essentially helps show us the way so that we don't have to trust banks or any other centralized intermediary. Essentially, Bitcoin helped serve as a pioneer in that respect. And all the many different cryptocurrencies that are out there now have essentially tried to follow in Bitcoin's footsteps in some way. New Bitcoins are created through mining, a process that we'll talk more about in just a bit. And as I mentioned before, Bitcoin is often referred to as digital gold because it's limited in supply. Does anyone know how many Bitcoins in total that will ever be in existence?
21 million.
30 million.
21 million, exactly.
Oh, 21.
That's all there can ever be, and that's all that there ever will be. Only 21 million will ever exist. Full stop. This scarcity, combined with its growing adoption, gives its value. It's secure, transparent, and global. Anyone with an internet connection can use it. And folks, just to let you all know, we've mined over 19 million Bitcoin so far. So we're definitely getting close to the end game. Not as close as you might think. Now, Bitcoin will probably still be mined until the year 2140, but you'll definitely be getting scarcer as time goes on. Now, Bitcoin is created through a process called mining, as I hinted to you before. Miners use powerful computers to solve complex math problems. And when they succeed, they're rewarded with Bitcoin. This process also helps verify transactions and add them to the blockchain. Think of it as a giant digital puzzle, and the miner who solves that puzzle gets to write the next page in the Bitcoin ledger and earn some Bitcoin in return. So you get to make a bit of history and earn some money while you're at it. Sounds pretty cool, right?
Right.
But mining isn't just about earning rewards. It's also about maintaining the network security and integrity. Without miners, the system just would not work. Now let's talk about the Bitcoin blockchain itself. When you make a Bitcoin transaction, it doesn't just go through instantly. No. First, it's placed into something called the mempool, a sort of waiting room for transactions. Miners then pick these transactions and add them to a block, which gets added to the blockchain. But here's the cool part. Every block links back to the previous one, forming a chain of blocks, bringing us back to blockchain again. This structure ensures that once a block is added, it cannot be altered or changed in any way, shape, or form. The Bitcoin blockchain is essentially a public ledger, open for anyone to view. It is the backbone of Bitcoin and what makes it so secure and trustworthy. Benefits of Bitcoin. Like so many other currencies out there, Bitcoin is decentralized. No government or bank controls it, and this is something that helps give people financial freedom. Lower transaction fees, especially for international payments. Now, we definitely have different chains and different tokens and coins with lower transaction fees than Bitcoin, but as far as international payments go, Bitcoin is pretty low cost. Have any of you ever tried to send a wire abroad or MoneyGram or anything like that?
Cost a
Yes.
fortune.
It costs a fortune. Exactly. Now, as we know, absolutely, the fees on that can be insane. But with Bitcoin, it's just a fraction of the cost. Now, privacy. Bitcoin transactions can be pseudonymous if done carefully. Great for people who value their financial privacy. And global accessibility. All you need is an internet connection to participate. It's a financial system that does not discriminate whatsoever. This creates a financial system without borders, and Bitcoin was the very first proof positive case of this. That's powerful, wouldn't you all say?
Yeah. Very powerful.
All right, so one of the more common questions we get from newbies in the crypto space is, if Bitcoin transactions are pseudonymous, how do you know who to pay? And that is a great foundational question. It all comes down to Bitcoin addresses. When you create a Bitcoin wallet, and for that matter, pretty much any crypto wallet, you're given two keys, a public key and a private key. The public key generates your Bitcoin address, which is what you then share with others to receive payments. Think of the Bitcoin address as like an email address. The private key, on the other hand, is like your password. It lets you access the funds in your wallet. And I can't put too fine a point on this, really. Never, ever share your private key with anyone, ever. And that goes double for the seed recovery phrase or recovery seed or recovery phrase that a lot of people on this call are using now. I will never ask to see it. Any sort of support person will never ask to see it. Bottom line, no one legitimate will never ask to see it. And if anyone does ask to see it, they're probably trying to scam you. So to pay someone, you simply enter in their Bitcoin address into your wallet and send the funds. It's simple, secure, and as long as you have the right address, there's no room for mistakes. Of course, just with just about everything in the world, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Here are some risks. Volatility. Bitcoin's value can swing wildly. One day it's up 20%, the next it's down 10%. It's not for the faint of heart, and we're actually seeing some of that now with Bitcoin prices dropping from highs of 100K down to, I think they're around 80K now per coin. Regulation. Some governments embrace it, while others restrict it or ban it. The regulatory environment is constantly in El Salvador. In El Salvador, for example, Bitcoin is legal tender, whereas in some other countries, the mere act of earning crypto at all is a crime. Security risks. If you lose your private key, you lose access to your Bitcoin forever. There is no customer support to help you recover it. So if I end up losing my private key somewhere along the line, there's no Bitcoin CEO I can go up to and say, hey, fix this for me. Because number one, they'd probably say, wait, who are you? How do you get in here? Security, don't validate his parking. And secondly, because there is no Bitcoin CEO. And scalability. As more people use Bitcoin, the network can get congested, leading to slower transactions and higher fees during busy times. All right, so let's recap, folks. We've established what cryptocurrency is, as well as its purpose. We went over the basics of the blockchain and how it works. We went over how Bitcoin functions as the first and most popular cryptocurrency and very first use case of the blockchain. And we went over the benefits and risks of using cryptocurrency. And with that, my presentation is done. So I'll go ahead and stop the share. And now we'll go into the Q&A portion. Before that, I'll go ahead and check the chat and make sure there's nothing here I need to be aware of. All right, doesn't look like there's much of anything important, so we're moving on to the Q&A portion. Open season, folks. Who has the first question? Someone's got some. Oh, that's you. No questions? Did I do my job too well?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
So talking about different times of day that are, heavy transaction times, what are the best times to be, sending crypto?
So a good rule of thumb is when the East Coast of the United States is asleep, because that's where a lot of different traders are located physically. So that's when they're doing their trading, mostly when they're awake. So definitely a good rule of thumb historically has been when the East Coast of the US is asleep.
Okay, sounds fair.
Yeah. That doesn't hold true in all cases,
Yeah.
obviously, but it's definitely a good marker to shoot for.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
I have one quick question,
Okay.
Hunter. This is the first time I've been on one of these calls. I notice everybody putting their address into the chat.
Yep, go ahead and put your MetaMask address into the chat if you haven't already, and hopefully you qualify for paid training. If you don't, you can definitely work with a member of the executive team to get that sorted. In fact, I can show you how to double check that. Let me go ahead and open pool funding right now.
Dave's one of our beloved team, Hunter.
Ah, glad you could
Dave's
join
trusted.
us. All right, so we're over in pool funding,
Yep.
and this is something that you all should check every once in a while, just as a refresher. So what you want to do is you want to click on the Explore button. Now, if you're on mobile, what you'll see is you'll see a button of three lines in the top right corner of your screen. But in my case, I'm on laptop, so I'm going to click the Explore tab here. And this is going to be the same regardless of the device that you're on. But what you want to do is you want to go to the fifth option down, training qualification. And you want to make sure all five of these are checked. If one of these isn't checked, then that means you've got work to do somewhere. And I did a dedicated video on that, actually two videos, I think. But yeah, you definitely want to take a look at this, ideally every so often, to double check and make sure everything is still in order.
Okay. The only thing I'm missing is the PML.
All right, so you can definitely get that sorted. And this is actually a promo offer that we have for PML, where you can get $200 worth of PML by just purchasing $100 worth of it through pool playing through the website. And this is entirely separate from PancakeSwap, so don't purchase it on PancakeSwap. Purchase it here on pool funding, at least for the promo. So what you'll want to do from here is you'll either click go to promo page, or you can also see it as promo in the Explore tab. And it's not going to show up for me because I've already done the promo, but Ace has some videos on showcasing the promo on his channel. But when you've done your market buy of the PML for the promo, this is what will show up. You'll see the transaction hash for that buy, and you'll see when you made that purchase. But
Okay.
if you haven't figured out yet, then what you'll see is an amount of your PT. You'll see a PML value, then you'll see a bonus PML value for essentially doubling the PML that you get from that purchase. And all those fields will already be filled in. You won't be able to change them. All you have to do is just go down and hit the button a couple times. Makes sense?
Yep. Thanks, Hunter.
Absolutely. All right. Are there any other questions? Gregory, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi Hunter. I appreciate you doing this tonight. So my question is regarding Bitcoin. About a month and a half ago, it was at a high of about 127,000, and now it's down to about 88,000. What do you contribute that to? What do you think? Why do you think it dropped 30%?
So part of it has been market volatility from some certain government actions that have happened in the United States, which we're not going to talk about. But those of you who live in the United States, you'll know that you basically just got out of this event that was the longest period of this sort of event in the United States. And part of it has definitely been from some investor confidence in crypto that has fallen with that. Now, this is where it can definitely get a bit tricky because investors in the crypto space can be a bit fickle. Now, when the event started, crypto went down. When the events ended, crypto also went down. So it's a bit of a end to the big Bitcoin bubble that we've been seeing, and crypto as a whole suffered from that, unfortunately. It shouldn't have, but that's just the way it goes, especially since now we have these big institutional players in the Bitcoin space.
Okay, well that makes more sense than my thinking of people pulling money out so they can have money to use for buying Christmas presents.
Well, I imagine some people also doing that. But as far as percentages go, it's really not anything to be concerned about. Of course, as everyone knows, I've been in the space for 14 years. And do you know what we used to call wild fluctuations like that in terms of percentage in the old days?
No, what would you call
We called it Tuesday.
them? Okay, I like that. All right. Well, thank you, Hunter, for answering my question.
Yep. So keep calm, buy the dip in Bitcoin, buy the dip in pretty much anything you can see for that matter. And quite frankly, if you ever see Bitcoin under $1 billion in value, it's underpriced. I'll drop the microphone right there.
All right. Good job.
All righty. Are there any other questions?
You sure do know your stuff, Hunter.
Indeed, I do. Thank you.
Sorry, a bit of reverb. What do you call it? Reverberation with Dad's laptop just there with his voice.
Feedback,
Turn it down.
something like
Yeah,
that.
thank you very much, Hunter. And
No
thank you for
problem.
welcoming Dave.
Absolutely. Good to have you back with us, Dave.
Thanks.
Thanks for your time today,
Here is
Hunter.
absolutely. All right, let me check the chats here, see if there's
Thank you
anything
so
I
much,
missed.
Hunter.
Absolutely. Well said, Hunter. There is water, Sir Hunter. Thank you, Marjorie. Francis saying thank you. All right, so any further questions, comments, anything of that nature? And it doesn't just have to be about Bitcoin, it can be about anything that's scripture related or anything else PF related for that matter that you've had on your mind.
Hunter,
Yeah,
I have a
happy Thanksgiving.
question, if I may.
Okay.
I was wondering, with the MetaMask, when is it anticipated that the coins will not show up as being always an alert?
Are you talking about the alert that comes up when you go and make your payments?
Yeah, and there
So
always seems to be like a warning over it as well.
So that's been a bit of an issue for us for a while, unfortunately. And the reason for that is that MetaMask errs on the side of caution when it comes to protecting the user.
Thanks, Sam.
And the issue there is that a lot of what we do in pool funding relies on smart contracts. And the issue that MetaMask has with that is that smart contracts, if you give them permission to, is smart contracts can take funds out of your wallet without you having to explicitly give it permission each and every time. So that's what can cause some users some concern because to them, especially if they're crypto newbies, it may look like they've had money stolen from them. But it's not the case, and everything done with smart contracts is above board. And in our case, with all the smart contracts we use in pool funding, you'll find that pretty much all of them are highly beneficial to the user. So this is a matter of MetaMask being overprotective in a big way. And we hope that they'll take off that warning for us in particular once we get more established and people learn more about us.
Yeah, I was wondering what the timing about what that would be. Um,
we don't know the stats or threshold for that as far as what it would take. That's something entirely up to MetaMask and consensus.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything that ACE could provide them informationally wise that would make them more comfortable to be able to lift that alert.
I've suggested a couple things to him, and he's forwarded them on to the programmer. But I'm not part of the inner circle so much since I'm not an official part of the team. So hopefully they've gone through it. But again, it's just a matter of MetaMask's choices in the matter.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Hunter, where can I find a copy of this?
It's recorded, so it'll show up on my YouTube channel, and I'll post a link after I get put up on the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
All right, let me check the chat here. Mohammed asks, what's the most secure way to keep Bitcoin? Now, there's a couple different schools of thought as far as the most secure way of holding Bitcoin goes. A lot of people like to use cold storage wallets, that is, wallets that don't interact with the internet whatsoever. A lot of people also like to use hardware wallets that store your private key and keep it away from your computer or any other device. So that way you can still transact with cryptocurrency, even if your computer is infected with malware or anything of the sort. In fact, so let me show you what one of the most popular ones of that looks like. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so the Trezor is the oldest utility used for storing your private key in this respect, and also it's linked to several different types of wallets that you may have. So yeah, once you get to the point where you own more cryptocurrency and you have a lot more value in cryptocurrency, then you should definitely think about investing in a device to hold your private key for you to keep it safe from any sort of malware or any sort of other calamity that may befall it. There are three different types of Trezor is of this video: the Trezor Safe 7, the Trezor Safe 5, and the Trezor Safe 3, all at different price points. We're not going to go into these here on this call because that's well beyond the scope of the call, but definitely take a look at them because this is definitely one area where it pays for you to do your own research. Because there was only one person that has the best idea of what you want to do with your cryptocurrency and how exactly you want to store it. And do you know who that person is? Anyone?
So,
You.
Whoever's got the currency.
Yep, exactly. Your best position to answer that question for yourself. So, like I said, this is definitely one area where it pays to do your own research. And I'm not saying that as a cop out. So I definitely had some documentation that helps with that a little bit. But like I said, your best position to answer any questions you may have about that. And one thing I really want to make note of is that if you're going to order a hardware wallet or any other sort of crypto-based hardware product for that matter, always order on the company's website itself. So here in the case of Trezor, always order off of trezor.io. In fact, I'll put the link in the chat for everyone. Do not order treasure off of Amazon. Do not order treasure off of Best Buy. Do not order treasure off of Tiger Direct. Order directly from the company itself. I cannot put too fine a point on that.
That's a good point because I've bought stuff on Amazon that has been fake.
Yeah, exactly. There are fake treasures on Amazon, and what's worse, there are also treasures that have been tampered with on Amazon. So the second you put your private key on that treasure, or you generate one on a treasure that's been tampered with, it's not your Bitcoin anymore. It's not your cryptocurrency anymore. All right, let me check the chat. Michelle says, I will buy one next year. Excellent. Gregory says, once again, Hunter, you should be part of the official Pool Flame team. And Marjorie agrees with him 100%.
Me
Of
too.
course, folks, as I've said before, that's obviously not really up to me. So if you definitely think that, then definitely let the community know about it. Definitely. Tell the community as a whole how you feel. All right, so are there any other questions, comments, anything of that nature? No? Yep, so it seems indeed I did in fact do my job pretty well. It seems that Ace is rubbing off on me in that regard.
You're a little mini ace.
Yeah, you did a
Mini
great
me.
job tonight.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Hunter.
Absolutely.
You do.
All right, so one other thing I want to say before we close out actually is Paul with us? Paul Thompson, are you on the call?
I don't think Paulie is, hun.
Alrighty. Then I'll go ahead and do my portion of this. Let me just go to my tool website here. Now, each of us knows that there's a drive for Christmas toys for Batang Panoys, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm honestly trying my best, but we've seen the post that Paul Thompson has made on Wall of Joy, and one thing I also want to share is I now have a button that helps make donating to the cause easier and more seamless over on my tool website. So let me go ahead and show you that. All right, so we're here on my tooling websites. This is where you go to access my add all tokens button to add all of our custom tokens. And this also houses the RPC switcher. And on the third card here down below that, you'll see that number one, I've moved the donation buttons from the top right of the screen to their own dedicated cards here. The reason I did that was that on mobile, it was just showing up as really cluttered and it just was not user friendly whatsoever. So a dedicated section here is definitely better for that. And you'll see four buttons here. The first one is if you want to donate BNB to me. The second one is if you want to donate USDT to me. The third is if you want to donate PML to me. They're all pretty self-explanatory. But then we also have the fourth button here, donate USDT to Batang Panoy. And what that will do is, let me show you what that does. After you click the button, you'll see a prompt to enter in the amount of USDT that you want to donate. So for example, let's put in 10 and then I'll click OK. And then MetaMask will generate a transfer request for the amount of USDT that you put in. Now, the donation drive accepts USDT only, not any other type of crypto, not any other type of currency. And of course, that's natively. But if you have any other sort of token or cryptocurrency that you want to donate to the cause, then reach out to me and I might be able to do a swap a bit on your behalf. And that way you can make a donation without having to part with any USDT BEP20 that you might not have to spare. Although we cannot donate any of our PF tokens or PML, there's still the prohibition on selling those because this would be the definition of sell, unfortunately. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and confirm my donation of 10 USDT here. And I'll go ahead and put that website for my tools in the chat. All right, there you go. So yeah, that was pretty much the last thing I wanted to share. So with that, if there's no questions, comments, things of that nature, anything from anyone?
Well, thank you for showing us that, because some of us
Absolutely.
didn't haven't picked up on that yet. So I appreciate that, Hunter.
Alrighty, so Gregory Jones says, for those of you who celebrate this holiday, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Absolutely. And folks, just to remind everyone, this will be the last meeting that we'll have for the week because Thursday, the date that we usually do our second Cove Power stream of the week, that's Thanksgiving in the US. So we're definitely not going to be having a call that day since it coincides with a major holiday in the U.S. And just to give folks a bit of an idea, if you don't live in the Western world, the tradition of Thanksgiving in the United States is that everyone overeats a ton and falls into a food-induced coma for a few hours. Yet, Dave, you know it. You know it. Ed, you know it.
That's exactly
So,
right, Hunter. Exactly
yes.
right.
So, for anyone not from those regions, don't be alarmed if you can't get in touch with any of your American friends for a while that day, because chances are they're probably going to be napping. I know I am. All right, so with that, I'll go ahead and
Happy Thanksgiving to all those celebrating.
Thank you. All right, so I'll go ahead and stop the recording.